Okay, so story time. Alright, so I gotta kill this guy's music. You're just gonna kill my video. Find the keys.
Quickly.
Yeah, it's gonna ruin my video. I got killed by YouTube over sounds in the background. Okay, so uh in the late '80s, I left California, and I had never left California before. But trust me, I have been all over California, every city, and most definitely had to have danced in every discotheque in California City. I mean, in all the state of California. That's no lie. I loved the drive, and if I heard of a cool place, I went there. I had friends all over the state. Um, I was like no stranger to any place, and I had a little girl, and I decided that I would leave the state because my dad suggested it. Uh, my dad and I didn't get along too good when I was young because I left home at 15 and a half. And he's like, why don't you go live with your Aunt Roseanne? That was the second time in my life he pulled that. And I'm like, I don't know. They're all like real southern out there and stuff. And so, and I was like the true surfer girl. Uh, and he's like, well, she needs your help. And you do okay out there and all that kind of stuff. So I had this brand new baby. And I left when she was about a month old, I guess. I was suing my landlord. God, that was a nightmare from hell. I rented this place for like 1,100 a month, and it was all screwed up. They had built an apartment out of a laundry room, and I mean, I had water coming through walls one night. I came home from work, and there was like half of the wall was knocked out with like a hammer, and I thought somebody vandalized the house, and it was actually the landlord was in there, and he didn't say anything to me. I mean, this place was just a mess. It was just horrible. And so I sued the guy, and I won. But anyway, so I wasn't happy with that situation, and I had a brand new kid, and so I thought, Jesus Christ, maybe the grass will be green on the other side. The kids in school were fighting with like guns and chains by then, and it was like, wow. When I was in school, it wasn't like that, and I was considering having the bottom of her foot tattooed with a social security number to keep from her being stolen, because now people were running up to strollers with people walking down the street, kidnapping their kids and selling them on the open market, and it was just too much. So Roseanne called me a couple times, said, I'd sure like to have you, and I really need your help, and you can work in the abstract office and manage my apartments. I have an apartment complex. I'm like, really? And so, and I thought about that a couple times in my life because rent started getting really high in California. And cars, rent, everything got really grossly high all of a sudden. And I mean, you make a lot of money in California, but I mean, it was just insane. It was like if you wanted to get a place in Watts, downtown LA, it was like $1,000 and up. And you couldn't get parking. There was no parking or anything. Basically, you'd have to take a bus or something, because if you had a car, the only thing they'd leave behind is like the oil on the ground and a couple drops of Trinity fluid, because it'd be gone when you blink. And I always drove Lincolns and Cadillacs and stuff, and I already had my Lincoln stolen like twice out there. So I said, well, okay. Talked to my baby sister, and I was in tears. I'm like, I just don't know if I can do this. And sure you can, sure you can. She says, always remember, you can always come back. So I had 3 cars. I had one stolen by a boyfriend of mine, Ronald Fournier. Oh, God, he come back for a visit from Massachusetts, brought my Lincoln, never brought it back. I was like, oh. But anyway, so I had all these cars, and so I put them with people and stored one of them with a friend. He owned the house and everything. He lived there, and very dear friend. And he took care of it, kept the battery charged, and send me pictures of it and stuff. And because I said I'd probably be right back. Well, I flew my cat out there, and Roseanne paid for it. And it was like $400 for the cat and like $400 for me. And it wasn't a direct flight. She's one of these frugal people, very wealthy but very frugal. And so how they do this, I don't have a clue. But I get on the plane, leaving California with my kid, and my cat went through baggage, and a microwave, and an answering machine, all brand new. I took them on the plane with me to save my luggage, and then my luggage, of course, and then I had shipped everything out 4 weeks before that through the United States Post Office. Let me tell you what, that was the coolest deal. I shipped everything I could put in boxes and took it down there. If I'd only known if you put media mail on it, it goes slow, snail mail, but it's dirt cheap. So if I, thought about fabric or books or whatever, but they ask you that, they're like, are there any books or fabric? It's like, no. Any printed material? No. And I'd have got a better deal. But anyway, so I had spent 4 weeks shipping stuff out. I left everything left in the apartment to my boyfriend, and he ended up leaving all of it there like a dumbbell. I have beautiful furniture, TV, everything, and he left it there like a stupid. So anyway, I also had a pending lawsuit, a very large lawsuit, for I fell in a store when I was pregnant, and I didn't know if anything was really going to come of that or not, but later it did. I got huge money out of that, but my best friends in Oklahoma stole 90% of it from me. So it happens when you're young and you trust people. They use you. But anyway, and it's really sad because I just had a brand new baby, and I can't believe people would use me like that. Still today, I still don't believe it. But anyway, so I get on this plane, and I go to, it puts you into Atlanta, Georgia. Why? From California to Atlanta, Georgia, and then back to Oklahoma. That's the goofiest damn crap I've ever heard of. But anyway, so I had like a layover for like 2.5 hours in Atlanta, Georgia. My daughter made her first poopies in the toilet. She was only a baby. It was so cool. I'm like, I got her potty trained already. And so, anyway, I'm wandering around the airport. And, oh yeah, I brought my stroller on the plane too. And so, I wander by this gift shop, and I hear this girl talking, which sounds like something out of a movie, like out of Gone with the Wind or something. And I go in the store, and it's this girl has this really long, straight, brown hair, like past her butt, and she's talking in this really heavy southern drawl. And I looked at her, and I said, wow, where are you from? Because, in California, we think southern people are really funny usually, because we think they're playing when they talk like that. But anyway, so I said, where are you from? She says, Atlanta, Georgia. And I was like, oh my gosh, the way you talk, it's so beautiful. And she just laughed. She thought that was really funny. And so, anyway, I thought it was really enchanting. I kind of wandered around the store a little bit longer and listened to her talk. She had a very nice, enchanting accent. And so, anyway, finally got back on the plane, got into Oklahoma, and Roseanne's there to meet me at the airport and all that stuff. And they don't want to give me my cat. Now, I had to pay a bunch of money to have the cat shipped. I had to go to a vet, pay him like $200 or $300 to make sure he had all his shots and everything that he needed, and medicine to put him out on the plane, and to buy the carrier thing to put him in. And then Roseanne paid $400 for the ticket to fly the damn cat, because I so had to have this big black Persian cat with yellow eyes that I had. I had him for years. His name was Prince. And so, anyway, they don't want to give me the cat. And they're like, well, the cat, it's supposed to be, in incubation for 90 days or so. I said, I didn't come from, like, India. I said, I came from California. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. They didn't tell me anything about that. I called the airport 3 times to see what all I need to do and talk to the vet and everything. And I don't understand why you don't. Well, they have to be, you know, like, contained for, like, 90 days to make sure you're not bringing any germs or anything into Oklahoma. I'm like, what? So, after some argument, I think it took us about 2 hours to get the flipping cat. But anyway, so we finally got the damn cat. And so, after a couple days being in Oklahoma, you know, Roseanne says, well, you need a car. So I got 3 back home. She said, well, we don't have time for that. So she had talked to the neighbor, this guy named Bob. And he had a car. It was a big Mercury Marquis. Big old thing. It was like a big Lincoln, actually. Chocolate brown, Landau top. And so he'll sell it to her for like $500. And I mean, it was pretty clean for $500, really. That was pretty amazing. But anyway, so she says, here, this will be your wheels. Because she was going to buy me a new car and a Hyundai or Yugo, brand new. But she laughed about it when I told her about it because I said they're so cheap. And she said, yeah, for that kind of money, they were like $3,000 or something. She's like, for that kind of money, it comes with like no engine, no wheels, forget it. And I'm like, no, they're really real cars. So anyway, so I had that big car and everything. And so in Pryor Creek, Oklahoma, which is like 60 miles of Tulsa, was way out in the dirt. Oh, God. So, like, I cried for 4 weeks before I went to Oklahoma because I've asked people, so what's in Oklahoma? You know, because I hadn't been there since I was 12. I went a few times to go visit my aunt, Roseanne Cash, and Johnny Cash. And, so anyway, I asked everybody, well, what's in Oklahoma? What's the deal? Sugar beets and tumbleweed. I'm like, what is that? You know, and the food was terrible. I hated the food. I hated the food. And, so anyway, I'll tell you this other story another time about Thanksgiving I did years ago where they actually went outside to dig up the after dinner drink out of the dirt. But anyway, oh yeah, that was real good. And what my cousin John Cash did to me, I wanted to just smack him. And all these people are dead now. My aunt Rosanna's dead. My cousin John's dead. His dad's dead. Everybody's dead. But anyway, so these are people on my dad's side of the family. So anyway, I go in town and like all there is this place called Walmart with 1 L. And I'm like, I wonder if that's like a cheap name for Kmart or what the heck that is. I've never heard anything like that. And, because Kmart was always the plastic store. And then you had Montgomery Wards, everybody called that Monkey Wards. You had Zodi's, iMagnins, Orbox, Safeway stores. That was all the big thing, you know, growing up. So anyway, they had this place called Walmart. And it was a little store. It's about half the size, if not smaller, of the big stores nowadays. If not smaller. And then they had a place called Sonic Drive-In. If you don't know what it is, it's like a drive-in hamburger hot dog kind of joint where they used to have car hops that roller skated and stuff like that, like in the 50s. And they had one grocery store, and oh God, when you walked in there, they had feed, you know, animal feed for like farms. And you wanted to puke when you walked in the door because they had all those bags up at the front door. And they, oh God, this guy's gonna ruin my video with this noise. He's sitting there texting in his truck. Yes. Please go with your noise. So anyway, so, the grocery store was terrible. It was a little tiny store, like concrete floor, And when the first like 200 foot you walk in is all bags of stuff to the ceiling, like you name it, feed, manure, just whatever. It was so gross. I'm like, what kind of grocery store has stuff like this? It reeked, and I'm like, oh God. And so it had that. It had somebody opened this like Mexican joint. Oh God. I went up there, and it was supposed to be Mexican food, and all the people were like real southern, like, hi, how you doing? You know. And I ordered this really killer burrito thing, and let me tell you what, this freaking burrito, it was like they put ketchup on it, and oh, it was so gross. But anyway, my friend's BB and her guy, he loves ketchup. He probably would have liked that. But anyway, it was like, this isn't Mexican. But anyway, so it was an interesting place. And I would ask people, I'm like, so what do you guys do? You know, like, going out or on Saturday night. And they're like, go to Sonic. And I'm like, and do what? What cruise is Sonic? And I'm like, surely they're not talking about that hamburger hot dog joint there. Yep, that's what they do. They go cruise the Sonic. Now, this place is mostly dirt. I was actually told that the way people learned how to drive was like on tractors. Literally. Because most of them all grew up on farms and stuff. I'm like, oh God. And hell, I had a bubblegum license. I had damn bubblegum license till I was about 27 years old. So anyway, that's another story. Got mine out of the bubblegum machine for 50 cents. But anyway, so but I could drive. So anyway, they had this gas station, and I pulled up in this little tiny gas station, and it was so weird. I thought like somebody had put drugs in my lunch. I pulled up in that big marquee, and there's an older guy there, and he's like, hi, how you doing there, young lady? And I'm like, just fine, sir. And so he asked if I wanted to fill it up, and I said, yes, sir. And I was like, I wonder why he even asked. Because when I grew up in California, that kind of phased out. Because they didn't have full service gas stations anymore and all that kind of thing. There's no such thing. And you'd lost your mind if you'd asked for full service. So anyway, so this guy's like going, so what do you want? And I'm like, he's like, you want to fill it up? And I went, yeah. And he said, I'll get it for you, miss. I'm like, okay. I thought it was just some dude trying to pick up on me. And I always did have the problem. But anyway, I still do. And so, anyway, all of a sudden he's like pumping my gas. And then he is like doing my windshield and stuff. And I'm like really freaking out going, what is this guy doing? Because, there's no such thing as self-service anymore, right? And so I'm sitting there, and this is like a 20-minute gig between filling the tank. And then, I look over at the gas pump, and, in California, they had, like, the hose, and then the extra hose, and for the air thing, and this hose, and all this other horse crap. And it was like, 4 or 5 hoses to keep from burning up the ozone layer just to put gas in your car. And, it was really weird. I hadn't heard, the old gas pumps in California when I grew up, they would go ding, ding, like, every 10 cents or something. And so, all of a sudden, I look over, and that flipping gas pump there in Pryor Creek, Oklahoma, is dinging. Like something out of the Twilight Zone. It was so weird. I'm like, what the hell? So I'm like, man, I'm really rolled back in the time clock over here. Oh my gosh. I'm like, I wonder where the nearest beach is. Where I could get real food, because I was into like Cuban Thai food and all kinds of different foods, and I definitely I'm about as southern as a French fry. Oof. I just don't do southern food. I don't do fried food. So I'm a seafood and prime rib girl. But anyway. So anyway, this guy, he's doing a windshield and he's filling my tank. The thing is dinging, and I'm like tripping out, going, oh boy. All of a sudden, he hits a freaking deck. in front of my car. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's had a heart attack. I look out there, and I'm like, sir, are you okay? He's like, just checking your tire pressure over here. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, he gets done with all his bits, and I kind of laughed, and I didn't want to hurt his feelings because I hadn't seen that since I was a little bitty kid in California. That's been outdated for years. And the dinging damn pump and everything else. And, you know, I worked in bar and restaurant business for years and owned them, worked them, run them. So I was always all about tipping folks. You know, if you're good to me, I'll take care of you at a grocery store, wherever. And so, anyway, I went to tip the guy. I paid him for all my stuff. It was like $35 for fill up and all that other junk. And windshield washer fluid and half a quart of oil and all that kind of junk. Yeah, check my fluids too. How do you like that? And then I turned around and I tipped him $10 or $20. And he looked at me and he was like, y'all don't have to. And I'm like, no, it's okay. And I said, I thank you really a lot, sir. Thank you very much. And I said, I haven't seen a full-service gas station in years. He's like, you ain't from around here, are you? It was like the only gas station in town. And there's one dude running it. I think they had 2 pumps. And so, anyway, that was really interesting. Oklahoma was a very interesting place. People will talk and they carry on with a big conversation, and then they go, and then, you know, they holler, and, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, they're fighting. And I found out later that every time they say that, it doesn't mean people are fighting. A holler is like a low place in the road or walkway. It's like moguls. It's like the low place. And they call that the holler. I don't know why, but they do. I don't know if it means hollow or they